was one of those nights when the world outside feels frozen in time. The kind of cold that makes every sound sharper, every shadow longer. Emily Harris was home alone. Her parents had gone out of town for the weekend, and the house, her childhood home, suddenly felt way too big for one person. She had her golden retriever, Max, to keep her company. The fireplace was off, the heater humming softly, and a movie played in the background as she scrolled through her phone. Outside, the wind howled against the old windows. She pulled her blanket tighter. But then, Max lifted his head, ears perked, eyes fixed on the hallway. He growled low, uneasy. Emily muted the TV. "What is it, boy?" she whispered. Silence. Then Max barked. Loud. Sharp. Like he was warning something. She stood up, peering down the dark hallway. Nothing. Just shadows. Probably a raccoon outside, she thought. Maybe the wind knocked something over. Still, that uneasy feeling settled in her chest. Before we continue, make sure you're subscribed, because what Emily discovered next, it's something you'll never forget. Hours passed. It was nearing midnight when the sound began. First, it was faint, like scratching, behind the living room wall. She frowned, turning down the volume on the TV. It was steady, rhythmic, not random. "Probably mice," she mumbled, though she didn't sound convinced. She leaned closer, pressing her ear against the wall. The sound shifted, moved upward, across the ceiling, then down the hallway. Her skin crawled. Max barked again, running to the corner of the room, staring up at the wall as if he could see something moving behind it. Emily followed the noise with her phone flashlight, tracing invisible steps along the drywall. When she tapped the wall, the scratching stopped. Dead silence. She exhaled. Okay, that's enough horror movie for tonight. But before she could turn away, 3 knocks. Loud. From inside the wall. Knock. 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 Emily's heart pounded so hard she felt dizzy. "Dad?" she whispered, grabbing her phone and calling him immediately. When he picked up, she laughed nervously, trying to sound calm. "Hey, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I think there's something in the wall." Her dad chuckled. "Pipes, Em. Or maybe a squirrel nest. It's winter. They crawl in anywhere warm." "Yeah." She forced a laugh. "Probably just that." They hung up. But Emily didn't turn the lights off that night. Around 2 a.m., she jolted awake. Max was whining, low and uneasy, his eyes fixed on her bedroom wall. And then it started again. That same frantic scratching. Only this time, it was closer, right behind her headboard. She sat up, breathing fast, recording the sound on her phone. It didn't sound like an animal anymore. It sounded human. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Then something heavier, like a shove. Max barked, running to her closet door, scratching at it. "Max, stop," she hissed. He wouldn't. Emily grabbed her phone flashlight, walking toward the closet. "Okay, nothing's in here. Chill, buddy." She swung the door open. Empty. Just coats and old boxes. But as she was closing the door, she noticed something behind one of the boxes. A small hole in the drywall, about the size of her fist. Her heart skipped. She crouched down, moving the boxes aside, shining the light into the hole. It was dark, just insulation and shadow. She leaned a little closer, and something moved. For half a second, she saw it, a fingertip. Pale, thin, curling slightly toward her. She gasped, stumbled back, screamed, grabbed Max, and bolted downstairs. She didn't stop running until she was locked inside her car in the driveway, shaking uncontrollably, phone in her hand. 911, what's your emergency? Her voice trembled. Someone's in my walls. When the police arrived, Emily refused to go back inside. She stayed in the car, watching the flashlights dance through the windows of her house. An officer eventually came out and told her she might want to stay with a friend that night. But when they explained why, she nearly threw up. Up in the attic, they found a small crawl space that ran down behind the walls. Inside were blankets, food wrappers, and an old phone charger. Someone had been living there. For weeks. The man. A drifter who broke in through the attic vent was found hiding behind a neighbor's shed hours later. Emily moved out soon after. But even now, she swears, when she visits her parents' house, she still hears faint scratching in those same walls. And every time she wonders, was he the only one? Narrator's tone lowers. If you're hearing this at night, and your pet suddenly starts staring at the walls, you might want to check before it's too late. Don't forget to subscribe for more real stories like this, because the next one might just keep you up tonight. There's something unsettling about silence, the kind of silence where even your own heartbeat sounds too loud. Liam Parker hadn't noticed it at first. He'd rented this little cabin deep in the woods to finish a project for work. A week of isolation, peace, and zero distractions. The cabin sat at the edge of a thick forest. His nearest neighbor was half a mile away. Perfect for focus, terrible for comfort. Inside, the place was cozy. Wooden walls, a crackling heater, a small desk near the window. Outside, the world was nothing but black trees and endless quiet. Liam sat hunched over his laptop, sipping from a mug of coffee that had already gone cold. The only sound was the wind brushing softly against the window pane. Then, just before 11 p.m., he caught it, a flicker of movement. He looked up, squinting toward the window. A branch? An animal? He stared for a few seconds. Nothing moved. He chuckled nervously, shaking his head. "All right, Liam, you're just tired." He went back to typing, the glow from the screen lighting his face. But the forest outside was watching. Subscribe for more stories like this one. Trust me, you'll want to stay for what comes next. Candle the flicker. Minutes later, the cabin lights began to dim. Once, twice, then everything went dark. Liam sighed, rubbing his eyes. Of course. He grabbed his flashlight and stepped outside to check the breaker. Just a short walk to the back shed. The cold hit him instantly. The forest was silent. Not even crickets. As he walked, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. He turned his flashlight slowly toward the trees, and for a split second, something glinted back. 2 small, reflective circles. Eyes? He blinked. Gone. The trees swayed softly in the wind, and for a moment, Liam thought he heard breathing, just behind him. He spun around. Nothing. "Get a grip," he whispered, flipping the breaker back on and heading inside fast. The lights flickered to life. The heater hummed again. He set his flashlight down and took a shaky breath. But that's when he noticed it. The window, the one by his desk, was fogged up from the heat. And right in the middle of the fog was a handprint. A fresh handprint. He froze. He hadn't touched that window all night. "Hello?" He called out weakly, voice trembling. Silence. He grabbed the flashlight again, shining it at the glass. Outside, nothing. No movement, no shape, no figure. Still, his pulse raced so fast he felt lightheaded. He locked every door, every window. He told himself it had to be condensation, maybe his own print from earlier. But deep down, he knew it wasn't. Don't forget to subscribe, because this is where things take a darker turn. Evergreen tree, the knock. It was around midnight when the first knock came. Knock. Long pause. Knock. Slow. Deliberate. Liam froze in place. The sound came from the back door. He glanced toward it, waiting, heart hammering. "Hello?" he called out. "Is someone there?" No answer. Another knock. Same rhythm. He inched toward the door, careful not to make noise. Through the small glass window he saw it, a figure. Tall. Motionless. Wearing a hood. The figure stood just beyond the porch light, facing him but perfectly still. "Hey!" Liam yelled, voice cracking. The figure slowly turned and walked into the woods. Gone. Liam stood frozen for a full minute before scrambling for his phone. He dialed the local sheriff. They told him an officer would be there soon, maybe 30 minutes. But before he could even say thank you, the call dropped. No signal. The room suddenly felt smaller, the air heavier. He could hear the wind again, whistling through the cabin. And then, creak. Floorboards. Upstairs. Candle, the face at the window. Liam's flashlight shook in his hand. He'd been alone. There wasn't supposed to be an upstairs noise. He crept toward the staircase, his steps painfully slow. Halfway up, he whispered, "Hello." No answer. He reached the top. The bedroom door was slightly open, swaying just a little. He pushed it open with the tip of his flashlight. Empty. He exhaled, shaking his head. "You're losing it." Then behind him, creak. The closet door moved. He turned fast, flashlight beam slicing through the dark. The closet door slowly swung open, revealing a shape. A man, standing there, face pale, eyes wide, a knife in his hand. Liam screamed, stumbling backward, crashing into the nightstand. He didn't think. He just ran. Straight for the window. Glass shattered as he dove through, tumbling into the snow outside. His arms sliced open. He didn't stop, didn't look back. He just ran, barefoot, bleeding, heart pounding, until the cabin disappeared behind the trees. When police finally found him hours later, he was wandering the road, shivering and incoherent. They searched the cabin. The back door had been pried open. Upstairs, they found muddy footprints, leading from the door to the closet. But no man, no knife, nothing. The officers told him maybe it was an intruder who fled before they arrived. But Liam swore that man had been standing in the closet before he ever went outside to fix the power. So how long had he been in there? Liam never went back. He moved out of the city entirely. But that cabin? A few months later, it was found broken into again. The same handprint on the same fogged window. And whoever rented it after him. They never stayed the full week. If you're watching this alone tonight, and you hear something outside your window, don't look. Sometimes, curiosity opens doors that were never meant to be opened. Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss the next story, because the next one, it happens in a place much closer to home. There's something about old apartment buildings. The air feels heavier, the walls thinner, and sometimes it feels like you're never really alone. Rachel Kim knew that feeling too well. She was 21, living alone in a small, off-campus apartment, the kind with squeaky floors and flickering hallway lights. It was finals week, and like every other sleepless student, she was up way too late. Her desk was cluttered with coffee mugs, sticky notes, and half-eaten snacks. Lo-fi music played softly through her headphones as she reviewed notes for the third time. It was quiet, peaceful, until it wasn't. Around 1:30 a.m., she got up to grab some water. As she passed the door, something caught her eye. The hallway light outside was flickering. Not steady, not random, but like someone was walking under it. She paused, leaning toward the peephole. The hallway was empty. The light buzzed faintly, flashing on and off. She shrugged it off, muttering, "Great, add haunted lighting to the list," and went back to her desk. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you're still with me. It's about to get strange. Crescent moon, the knocking. A few minutes later, it started faint, soft knocking. Not loud, not urgent, almost polite. Knock, knock, knock. Rachel froze, taking off her headphones. The sound echoed faintly through the apartment. She walked to the door and peeked through the peephole again. Empty hallway. The knocking stopped. She exhaled, shaking her head. Probably someone drunk. Wrong door. Then it started again. But this time, it sounded closer. She turned slowly. The sound was coming from inside the apartment. Her pulse spiked. No, no, no. She followed the sound, each knock pulling her closer, until she stopped in front of the bathroom door. It was coming from there. She hadn't used the bathroom in hours. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the handle. "Hello?" she whispered. No answer. She pushed the door open. Empty. But the shower curtain was drawn. Her heart pounded as she grabbed it and yanked it open. Nothing. Just the sound of her own breathing echoing in the tiny room. She stared at her reflection in the mirror for a moment. Her own eyes looked tired, almost afraid. "Get a grip, Rachel," she muttered, forcing a laugh. "You're just tired." But the silence that followed didn't feel empty. The voice. She went back to her desk, trying to focus, though her hands were still shaking. Then a new sound, faint, soft, like crying, came from the hallway. Rachel's stomach dropped. She turned off her music, straining to listen. It was definitely crying. A young girl's voice. She walked to the door, peered through the peephole again, and this time she saw her. A little girl standing directly under the flickering light, barefoot, wearing a soaked white nightgown. Her skin was pale, and her hair clung to her face as if she'd just come out of water. Rachel's voice trembled. "Sweetheart, are you lost?" The girl didn't move, didn't blink. Then, slowly, she lifted her head. Her eyes were completely black. Rachel gasped, slamming the door shut, locking it, heart racing. She grabbed her phone and called the building manager. No answer. The crying started again. Only now it was inside the apartment. Candle the footsteps. Rachel crawled under her desk, trying to breathe quietly. The crying stopped. Then came the footsteps. Soft, slow, moving across her floor. She peeked out from under the desk, her heart beating so hard she thought she might pass out. On the floor, wet footprints. Small, bare, leading from the bathroom, straight to her bed. Her phone buzzed suddenly. The flashlight flickered on by itself. She turned toward the noise, and the closet door creaked open. From the darkness, a voice whispered, "Can I stay here?" Rachel screamed, scrambling for her phone's light. Nothing. The closet was empty. She ran to the door, yanked it open, and bolted into the hallway. Her neighbor, half asleep, confused, opened his door. "Rachel? What's going on?" She was shaking, barely able to speak. There's a little girl in my apartment." Together they went back inside. Nothing. No girl. No sound. But the wet footprints were still there, leading from the bathroom to the bed, and then stopping. Building security checked the CCTV footage that night. No child ever entered or left her floor. The hallway lights had flickered, yes, but no one was there. Weeks later, Rachel learned that years before, a young girl had drowned in that same apartment's bathtub. No one ever told her. But sometimes, when she studies late at night, she swears she still hears it. Knock, 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 right from the bathroom door. If you made it this far, you're officially braver than most. But remember, the scariest stories aren't the ones we imagine. They're the ones that happen when you're alone. Don't forget to subscribe, because next time the story might not be about someone else. It might be about you.